If you woke up tomorrow with no money, no network, and no reputation, just your mind and body, what would be the first move you'd make to rebuild your kingdom? Interestingly, my kingdom was based on all of the lessons and all of the life I lived when I had no money, no network, and no reputation. But it's that prior state and the life I lived and all the lessons I learned and the fact that I crawled out of there that taught me any of the things I talk about today. I don't often talk about what I learned once I became monumentally famous and successful and life was easy. I talk about how life has always been hard, life has always been pain, how I had to struggle to get out. I tell the story of my escape from the Matrix, much more than I talk about sitting around and how great it is to spend money on watches. And it's actually the journey that gives anything value. We all know this. If somebody's born rich, Barron Trump is a perfect example, but he's luckily in a dynasty family. But let's imagine he wasn't. Let's imagine he was in a rich family that was relatively unknown. If you're born 6'7", do you need to go gym? A bit, but you're already big. You're born a millionaire. Do you need to work and make money? Not really. You have money. But does that person have interesting stories to tell you? Can that person sit down and motivate you? It's not the destination with these things. It's the journey with these things. We all already know this. So if I was regressed, I would be annoyed because I'm human. And as a human, I only have a finite amount of human years. And I would hate to have to waste human years redoing work I have previously done. Relearn lessons I already know. But the fact that I already know those lessons would accelerate the process. I wouldn't be down in that negative place for long because I already know all I need to know to get out. The best possible start for a man is to have no money, no network, and no reputation. That's where you want to start. Because then, as you escape, you learn things. And then your status and your money that you get at the top can amplify the things you learn and the person you became on your way to the top. Money does not change who you are. Fame does not change who you are. None of these things change who you are. It amplifies who you are. If you're a pussy, and you get rich, you're just a big rich pussy. You're just a target. If you're a dork and you get rich, you're just a rich dork. If you're a real G, you're a real G with and without money. And if you get money, you're a bigger G. It is an amplifier. So by extension, if I were to say to you, I'll send you $10 million today, but you haven't learned the lessons you need to learn, you're not the person you need to be, taking that bank transfer would almost be self-destructive. It would be against your actual interest. Your personal interest, because your personal interest is to live enough life and have enough things about you that makes the amplification beneficial as opposed to making the amplification detrimental. Crypto kids catch a lick and their life is ruined because now they're never going to work, they're never going to train, they're never going to struggle, and they're just a kid with money. They're going to buy an AP, they're going to buy a Bentley or a Lambo. That's great. Who cares? Nobody. Do you care? No. Do I care? No. They're just a rich dork now. They're just a robbery target, and they're going through life wondering what the point of life is. They made it out. Well, not really. Because to make it out, you have to have a certain mentality about yourself. If any of them are forced to go through what I've been through, you're going to see how quickly they haven't learned anything about being a man on their path to wealth. So if I woke up tomorrow with no money, no network, and no reputation, considering I've already done all this before and I don't really need any new stories, I wouldn't be looking to learn very much. I'd be looking to implement the things I already knew. All of these things are a constant and never-ending progression anyway. Your money is something you work on every day. Your network is something you work on every day. Your reputation is something you work on every day. So would my day be any different? None of these things just exist. These things must be maintained. You don't start a company and then stop working. No, you start a company and work on that company to keep your money coming in. So perhaps I would feel less achieved at the end of the day because I'd be starting from zero. However, my day would be filled with pretty much the same things that it's currently filled with, which is trying to get some money, speaking to the right people, and trying to be as strong as physically possible, and trying to build a reputation of competence and capability, which is what I'm already doing. You say you just have your mind and body. That's all I have now. Okay, I have some money in the bank and I have a network and I have a reputation, but I don't add all of them up before I start. I don't sit and say, I have $110 million. I don't need to work today. No, I think I need to make some money today. So I don't think my life would look much differently. The first move I'd make to rebuild my kingdom are the same moves I'm doing to maintain my kingdom. I'm trying to imagine if I lost it all tomorrow, would my life look any different? No, I might wake up somewhere different. But I'd train, because I train every single day, because it's extremely important. I would do my best to find other competent people, which I'm already currently doing and searching for right now. And I'd try and find some money, which I'm currently doing right now. The basic premise is that life, irregardless of your standing, irregardless of where you are, should only ever be a constant and endless pursuit for ascension. You should be insatiable. You shouldn't be the kind of person who can be satisfied. You know, the Matrix tries very hard to convince men you should be happy with what you've got. No, that's for chicks. Chicks are grateful. Women have a coffee and they sit outside and they look at the sunshine and they're grateful. Good. Because you don't want an overly ambitious woman because she ends up on her back with a man richer than you. That's the female mind. The masculine mind is constant insatiability. No matter how many lands Napoleon conquered, he had to keep going to war. Even though he suffered, he could have just been the emperor. Could have sat around, ate grapes, bitches, and had an empire. No, he wanted more and more and more to the point it destroyed him. When should he have stopped? Well, if he was the kind of person who knew how to stop, he would never have had an empire in the first place. So nobody who ever gets to the top knows how to stop. I have never, despite all of the cars, the jets, the whatever, I've never felt rich. I don't feel rich. I feel like, okay, I can afford my bills now. And I thank God I have the times I was poor so I can juxtapose my current life with my old life. If I wasn't capable of sitting with Tristan and talk about how broke I used to be, I really wouldn't feel rich. At least now I could sit around and talk about the time where we couldn't buy hot sauce because it was money for no calories and flavor and taste wasn't on the menu of things we needed. We needed calories for our pound coins. So thank God I have those times. But I don't wake up and feel rich. Girls say to me, you can buy anything you want, you're rich. I'm like, I'm not rich. I need more. I want more.
You talk to people and they're content. They're like, oh, I'm happy with what I've got. I'm like, why? Because there's people who have a whole bunch more than you. And I was never content having a normal life. I wanted an exceptional life. I didn't want a normal car, a normal house, a normal girlfriend. I didn't want none of that. I was like, no. There's dudes out here that have the best. Why do they deserve the best, but I don't deserve the best? And this is something I've always had inside me. I just didn't understand why I couldn't have the best stuff. I lived my life when I was poor, furious at the fact I was poor. Because my ego, and I'll be honest, my ego is at a point where I didn't understand how other people can afford Ferraris and I can't. I would be 18, walk into college, and a Ferrari would drive past. And it would ruin my week. And everyone would be like, what's wrong with you? And I'd be like, don't you see, this fat can buy a Ferrari and I can't. Why? He's not a better man. He's not a better person than me. I couldn't stand the fact that there are people who could do things I couldn't. So this gave me unlimited motivation to get rich. I found a way to get rich, and I believe that anyone who really, truly wants to get rich will get rich, one way or another.
You need to sit there and realize, whoa. I have a few years of consciousness, and even less than that, I have a few short years as a young man, because age will damage you. I mean, if you're a millionaire in your 60s, it's not nearly as good as being a millionaire at my age. I became a millionaire at 28. You need to realize you've got a few short years as a young man, you're wasting it.
You're avoiding pain. I've been through endless. I now have everything I've ever desired. You have none of the things you desire. Am I supposed to look at you and go, oh, poor dude? No, you were a fucking coward. You didn't go through the shit I went through. You didn't put it on the line. So you deserve your substandard reality. That's what you deserve. You're a fucking loser. Because if you actually wanted it and you actually tried, you'd have it. You could have anything you want. Universe is super giving. You want a Ferrari, you can have it. You want that bitch, you can have her. You can have anything you want on the planet. There's not a girl I look at that I want that I can't have. There's not a car I can't have. There's not a house I can't buy. If I want to go to a yacht, if I want to go to Antarctica, there's nothing I can't have. Bam. Because I've decided to become this man. It's the same for absolutely every single one of you at home. If you're sitting there saying, oh, but I tried my best and I still didn't get it, you're lying. You didn't try your best. The universe gives it to everybody who genuinely tried.